This is the continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Conley as Norman Harrington.
To a young woman who calls herself Anne Howard, the children's game of blind man's buff has a peculiar significance, a peculiar horror. Anne Howard has returned to Peyton Place to dispel that horror, if she can.
Oh, you startled me.
Sorry.
Can I help you?
I'd like to see some back issues of your paper, if that's all right.
Sure. Anyone in particular? Last week's?
Well, do you have any older editions, say a few years back?
Oh, sure. One over here. Yeah, just take your pick.
Thank you.
Sorry, but my filing system leaves a great deal to be desired, I'm afraid. You have any particular year in mind?
1949.
49. Winter, summer, spring, fall?
Oh, well, could I see all of them?
All right. Spring.
Summer. Do you have summer?
Summer, all right. Let's see. This is summer. That's a little dusty, I'm afraid, but...
That's all right.
All right. Sit down. I'll get you some water. There you go. Try that.
Oh, thank you. All right now.
You sure?
Yes. I'm fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Bye.
Good afternoon.
You know her?
Why?
She's a new face to me.
Yeah, got a pretty new face.
Hey, how's your memory of the summer of 1949?
Well, do you mean in the world, the Western Hemisphere, or Peyton Place?
Oh, right here in town.
Summer of 49? Well, was that a drought year, or maybe record high temperatures?
Well, I don't know. Don't you remember anything particular about it?
No, it just seems like all other years. Why? Something to do with a pretty new face?
You know anything about her?
No, not a thing. It's just that she's in room 17 at the boarding house. You know, up the stairs and toward the back. According to the stickers on her suitcase, she's been traveling around a bit. She's been there for a couple of days and seems to want to be alone. Connoisseur on food, I'd say, because she refuses Mrs. Hewitt's boarding house breakfast.
Ooh, you don't know anything at all about her, do you? I think you're getting to be about as nosy as your landlady.
You asked the question. What she got to do with 1949?
She just wanted to see the summer editions of that year.
Well, she couldn't have been out of pigtails by then.
I suppose not. You coming to dinner tonight?
Actually, that's what I came to tell you. Anything to avoid Mrs. Hewitt's daily delights. Well, you can fool around all day if you want to. I've got work to do.
Thanks, pal.
Information, Miss Findlay.
Yes. Do you have a listing for Stephen Cord?
One moment, please. His number is 555-7171.
Welcome home, Mr. Cord.
Thank you.
Mr. Parker, this is my wife, Betty.
Congratulations. I've known the new Mrs. Cord for approximately 10 years.
I was head of the disaster committee in the 7th grade, and every time we had a party here, it was my job to pay Mr. Parker for the damages.
It was your job to talk me out of charging a thing. Shall I give you the double room on a monthly rate?
No, we have a new house that ought to be ready in a week or so.
Oh, fine.
Our bags are in our car out front.
Oh, there's your mail.
I'll meet you up in the room. I have to make a phone call.
Can't you make the call from the room? I know it's none of my business.
Operator.
This is Stephen Cord. Would you connect me with Mr. Harrington at the Peyton Mill, please?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harrington's office.
How's my favorite mother-in-law?
Just fine. Welcome home, Stephen. How was the trip?
Wonderful.
Could I speak to Betty?
She sends her love. I'd like to talk to Mr. Harrington if he's not too busy.
It's important.
Just a moment, please.
Yes.
Stephen Cord's on the line.
Some other time. I'm busy.
He says it's important.
What is it, Stephen?
I'm sorry if I interrupted your work, Mr. Harrington, but those contracts with Dawes of Chicago ought to go out today. They'll need my signature as well as yours.
If you'd like to send them over, I'll sign them and get them in the afternoon mail.
How was your honeymoon?
Well, I'm sure you're busy.
Stephen, this co-signing isn't going to work. I'm sure Martin Peyton doesn't want you to waste your time on petty, everyday routine matters.
Perhaps you're right, Mr. Harrington, but until we clarify exactly what Mr. Peyton had in mind, I prefer to do exactly what he said I was to do.
And that was to co-sign every expenditure and every commitment for expenditure that leaves your office.
Would you like to send the contracts over here, or would you prefer I come out there?
Mr. Harrington.
I'll send them. Yes.
Coffee?
Come in and shut the door. Your son-in-law wants the Dawes contracts.
Well, there's nothing unusual about those contracts. He must have them.
He knows their standard. He wants to sign everything from the petty cash down to the stamp fund.
Well, I have a mint-flavored tranquilizer in my purse.
You mean I should give up? Take it lying down? If Martin Peyton wants a watchdog, he can hire an accountant with a court order to open the books.
Oh, Leslie Beatles.
He agreed that I was to run the bill. Nothing about Stephen Cord. Actually, it's a legal breach of promise. I think I could take him to court.
Oh, Leslie.
I've got cause.
What are you going to tell the judge? That you traded your son for this job?
Julie.
Les, I don't like the idea of my son-in-law breathing down your neck any more than you do. But there's nothing you can do about it. You've got to put up with whatever Martin Peyton and Stephen Cord dish out, and you know it. Les, you can't even resign.
What do you mean? I can always resign.
Oh, can't we be direct after all this time? I've seen your books.
So you have. But it's not that bad.
It's worse. You spent a fortune on Rodney's trial, a fortune you didn't have. There isn't a bank in this country that'll lend you a cent until you pay back some of what you owe.
The first debt to be paid off is the debt I owe to you.
To me? Well, you don't owe me anything, Wes.
I can live in debt to banks. But the first money goes to making you free of George.
What?
Divorce.
That's impossible.
Nothing's impossible, Julie. Unless your feelings about me have changed.
You can't get a divorce from someone in a mental institution. It's the law.
In this state, but we don't have to stop here. I'm sure it can be done, Julie. A good lawyer will find a way with money. I intend to provide the money.
Why, Les?
I intend to marry you.